Good evening, I'm VJ Franz K, and here is the Deluge and the Tama Techstar, which is a drum machine from the 80s. As you can see, it is connected from the gate out to the trigger inputs on the Techstar. So I have my tracks mapped out. Here is the kick drum. Here is the snare drum. These sort of clicking sounds which are kind of like hats. And then one of the nicest features of this machine is the clap, which on a lot of different machines, the clap will sound good or bad or just kind of flat, but I would say that is one of the strengths of this machine. So how did I do this? It was a little bit complicated. Perhaps I was looking at an earlier version of the manual or something like this, but they didn't tell you exactly how to do it. Right now I'm going to save it to track number 307, but if I want to do this, what do I have to do from the beginning? Alright, so I have to go in and make sure in my settings menu that, so I hold shift and then this, the selector wheel, and I go to CV, and I can see out 1, out 2, out, let's see, back. Oh wait, it's not CV. I'm supposed to look at the gate, not the CV, because the CV is notes, but something like this, a drum machine, doesn't respond to CV, it only responds to gate. So I'll select gate, out 1, out 2, out 3, and out 4. And what I've got to make sure is that my out 3 is set to V-trig and not run. So make sure it's set to V-trig. And run would be something that you might use for a modular sequencer or something like that. But I'm not using it right now. I need all 4 of those outputs, and in fact this machine has 6, so I can't do all 4 at the same time. I was trying to use one of the CVs for that purpose, but it doesn't exactly work that way. Make sure that these are all set to V-trig. And then what I did was I made a kit track, which is the way that you want to do it. So I will go to the song, I will make a new kit track here. So you see we have the kick and the snare and the usual thing. So I'm going to hold down my selector where I can select what is happening here. But the thing that the manual didn't describe exactly right is if I want to use a gate out, I'm going to then press the CV, and then it says gate 3, right? But in order to change what gate it is, I have to turn this golden knob to 1. You notice kick, and then the hat, and then the clap. So I'll go back, I'll assign this to gate number 1. So right now I have 2 tracks sort of competing, but they're both sending things out of that gate. It's nice to know that you can do that with multiple tracks. So then I'll do the same with this. Press that CV, and then change this. This was another stopping point. I couldn't figure out to use the gold knob, and the manual did not mention that either. But let's see. So if I want to put the snares in once again, hold this, then the CV, make this say gate 4. Wait, not gate 4, gate 3. So then up here, I can change this, and then we will do the gate number 4. Because it is, of course, an analog drum machine, I can have fun adjusting this in various ways while I'm jamming or playing. Of course, for each type of drum that you're trying to imitate, that's interesting. This machine actually allows the drum to have a reverse sort of sound. And that's not super useful, but it could be interesting to produce something out of the ordinary, right? Back into this sort of sweet spot where you can consider this to be a kick drum. Mute those other channels out. And a nice thing this machine has is that basically there are 4 tracks that are identical. They're called toms on this machine. But just like the Tomcat or other things, a tom turned way down low can sound pretty much like a kick drum, so that is fine. You have this top knob, which is amount of click. It's labeled attack. So you notice when it's right up at the top, there's a sort of sharp little click at the beginning of every drum, and you could either dial in or completely dial that out, depending on what flavor that you like. But I say it's good to have a little bit of that click in there even with the kick drum, because it gives it a little bit more impact and sort of like a real drum. So here is sort of could be a snare. It's more of a just a white noise burst or something like that, but it serves the function in this mix of being a snare. So adjust the decay how you would like. In this case, you have the pitch and amount of noise is involved in everything. It's hard to talk about this while you're doing it, but in the case of this third drum here, I'm using almost entirely that sort of click sound without much other thing. It's you can tell this machine is kind of old. It's the outputs on it are kind of noisy and crunchy, but as I was saying to myself earlier, this drum machine is like a classic vinyl record that you find in a thrift shop or something. It's got that sort of flavor, and you'll notice that unlike a more precise machine, every single time the drum triggers, it sounds a little bit different. The sounds, you can hear it drifting ever so slightly between each drum hit, and by adjusting the trigger amount, you can also affect the way that the sound reacts or doesn't react. And yes, you can hear it staticking when I adjust that too fast. So here's the clap noise. If I turn the trigger way up, I'm getting these drum rolls accidentally. Might even be able to use that as a way to create yeah, it's a really good clap sound, considering I think a lot of newer analog drum machines do not have a clap that sounds that nicely, which was one of the major reasons I wanted to buy this. I got this machine from Basec a few years ago, and I haven't used it that much, but I think it's going to be involved with this new project with Amps for Christ, so should be interesting. We haven't got all of that finished, but it's partly recorded. Just since this is a Deluge video also, turn the speed way up. Oh, interesting. If I turn the speed up too high, it's not registering. This is VJ Franz K signing out for now. More fun with the Deluge. It's an amazing machine with a lot of versatility. It was a little challenging for me to figure this out today, but it still it ends up working fine, and I could be controlling a really complicated modular and MIDI setup if I don't really have modular, which I'll get it someday, but with the CV outs, with the gate outs, and then with the MIDI, you still get 16 different channels of MIDI if you want to send them, so you have a lot of opportunity for controlling other machines. And plus, the sounds that are in the Deluge also sound great, and they're just getting more and more complicated all the time, the different options. So you have the opportunity to create a really complicated arrangement and perform it either at your home studio or at live shows, and I've started taking this out a bit and people like it. The bright colored lights and the fast tempo always makes them smile, because almost no machine can do that. Anyway, if you have any comments or questions, please post them on this video, and I would like some more Patreon subscribers if you guys would like to get involved in that way. And particularly my patrons, I would love to help you set up your studio with the machines and software and, of course, ideas. Ideas are like software for your mind, if you think about that. Ideas to connect you, your original self, your individual personality, with whatever you want to do creatively, and then how can you share it? How can you share it with everyone else in the world? Anyway, thank you for listening. VJ Franz K, High Tech Creativity.